For most of human history, wolves were monsters. If you lived 30,000 years ago, hearing wolves howling at night meant one thing. Something out there could kill you. You were slower than them, weaker than them, and they hunted in packs built for exactly this purpose. And yet, out of every animal on Earth, wolves became our closest companions. Not horses, not cows, not even other primates. Wolves. Today, there are over an estimated 900 million dogs on the planet, sleeping in our beds, guarding our homes, and wearing tiny birthday hats at parties they have no idea are happening. But here's the strange part. Nobody invented this. No ancient human sat by a fire and decided to build a fluffy, loyal, four-legged best friend. Dogs were an accident, and the science increasingly suggests wolves may have started domesticating themselves before any human noticed it was happening. To understand how, you have to picture the world during the Ice Age. Small bands of hunter-gatherers, maybe 20 to 50 people, moving constantly across frozen, dangerous terrain. Hunts failed often. Winters killed people. And at the edge of every camp, just past the firelight, wolves waited in the dark. Here's the detail that matters most. Humans are messy eaters. Even during a hard winter, a human camp left behind bones, skins, and scraps nobody finished. To a wolf, that wasn't a threat. That was a buffet that never closed. Some wolves crept closer to get at it. The aggressive ones probably got speared. The terrified ones stayed in the dark and starved. But somewhere in those wolf populations, a few individuals were just built differently, calmer, bolder around people, but not aggressive about it. Generation after generation, those wolves did better. They didn't need to risk their lives hunting elk or bison. They just needed to sit near a human camp and wait for leftovers. This is where it gets interesting, because we've actually watched this exact process happen in real time on a different animal entirely. In 1959, starting with 30 male and 100 female silver foxes pulled from Soviet fur farms, a geneticist named Dmitry Belyaev began breeding only the foxes that showed the least fear toward a human hand reaching into their cage. That was the only rule. Not intelligence, not appearance, just calmness around people. Every single generation, his team tested hundreds of foxes and let only the tamest 10% breed. What happened next should genuinely surprise you. After more than 40 generations, the result was a population of foxes that had become remarkably friendly and tame. They wagged their tails, they sought out attention, but their bodies changed too, and nobody was selecting for that at all. Alongside the tameness came floppy ears, curled tails, patchy coat colors, and altered hormone levels, physical traits nobody bred for on purpose. Select for calm behavior, and apparently a whole package of cute domestic animal features just comes along for free. If that can happen to foxes in a few decades under careful human control, it becomes a lot easier to believe it happened to wolves over thousands of years, with zero human control at all. Now picture an Ice Age camp watching this play out without realizing it. Wolves nearby start looking just slightly smaller, slightly calmer, slightly less terrifying. Not pets, not yet, but not fully wild anymore either. And this likely wasn't a single, one-time event. Researchers generally place dog domestication somewhere between 15 and 40,000 years ago, possibly across South China, Mongolia, or Siberia, meaning this same accidental process may have unfolded in multiple places, independently, around the same general era. Once humans noticed the upside, the relationship sped up fast. A wolf hanging around camp could hear danger before a human could, smell a predator from further away, track prey better than any person on foot. A half-tame wolf near your fire was, functionally, a living alarm system. And once both species started benefiting, the bond deepened, generation by generation, long before either side understood what was happening biologically. There's a real and surprisingly moving piece of evidence for how far that bond went. That dog wasn't healthy. Dental evidence shows it suffered a severe illness, likely canine distemper, starting as early as 19 weeks old, and yet it survived for months afterward. Untreated, that infection usually kills an animal within weeks. This puppy didn't die quickly. Someone kept it alive. Researchers believe this survival points to deliberate human care, suggesting some Ice Age humans had already formed real emotional bonds with their dogs, not just practical ones. Sit with that. Humans struggling to survive one of the harshest climates our species has ever faced, were still spending scarce food and time nursing a sick puppy back to health. That's not a hunting tool. That's not an alarm system. That's attachment. Maybe even love 14,000 years before anyone wrote the word down. The bond kept reshaping both species long after that. When humans eventually invented farming, dogs changed again just to keep up. Dogs evolved a major expansion in the AMY2B gene, which controls the enzyme that breaks down starch, something wolves, as mostly pure carnivores, never needed. Some domestic dogs carry up to 15 times more copies of this gene than wolves do, letting them digest the grain-heavy leftovers of an agricultural world far more efficiently. Dogs didn't just adapt to humans emotionally, they adapted to us biologically, rewriting their own digestion to match whatever we happen to be eating. And the emotional rewiring goes deeper than most people realize. A landmark study found that when dogs and their owners gaze into each other's eyes, both release oxytocin, the same bonding hormone involved in the connection between a parent and a child. Hand-raised wolves, even when bonded closely with human caretakers, show no such effect when they make eye contact with people. That means your dog staring up at you isn't a random quirk. It's a biological loop, tens of thousands of years in the making, that wolves never developed and dogs evolved specifically to exploit. Dogs essentially hijacked the same hormonal system humans use to bond with their own children. Domestication wasn't free, though. Selective breeding eventually went further than survival required, and many modern breeds now carry the cost. Some short-snouted breeds struggle to breathe properly. Some larger breeds suffer chronic joint and spine problems. The same process that gave us the most devoted animal companion in history also, centuries later, gave us traits no wild wolf would have survived carrying. But the wolf is still in there. When your dog circles before lying down, it may be echoing an ancient instinct to flatten tall grass into a bed. When it buries a toy or twitches mid-dream, something genuinely prehistoric is surfacing. Inside every Chihuahua and every Husky is the faint outline of an Ice Age predator that decided, scrap by scrap, generation by generation, that the fire was worth the risk. No one planned any of this. No tribe sat down and engineered a companion species. A few wolves were simply a little less afraid than the rest. They got fed. They got closer. And somewhere across thousands of years and probably several continents, fear slowly turned into one of the most successful partnerships any two species have ever built. Tonight, your dog will fall asleep near you without any idea that the friendship started in the dark at the edge of a fire, almost 15,000 years ago. You, on the other hand, now do.